Hey everybody, Charles for HumbleMechanic.com. This is episode 66 of the Humble Mechanic Podcast. In just a minute, I'm going to be joined by Rusty, and him and I are going to take a few questions that you guys submitted. But before we get into the show, I need to talk about the sponsor of the day, which is Rain Eater Wiper Blades. So wiper blades are actually one of the most overlooked safety features on our vehicle. Without a good set of wiper blades, we can't see out of the front of our car. Not only that, it's also one of the easiest DIY things, something that anybody that can get behind the wheel and drive a car can replace on their own. I did a review on Rain Eater and I was pretty impressed, and I'm happy to have him as one of the sponsors of the show, so check him out at raineater.com. Okay, let's get into the show. So, it's been a while, Rusty.
It's been a long time.
What the hell? Like 7 months.
Yeah, kind of got busy doing nothing.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, I was busy doing a lot of stuff. But,
Right.
welcome to the show, man.
Thank
It's
you.
your first time in the studio here.
Man, it's great to be in the Humble Studios.
Yeah, awesome.
On the Humble compound.
The compound.
Yeah, the Humble estate.
I don't know about that. If we panned way out, you would see how untrue a statement is.
The estatement.
So, I posted...
Really, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I interrupt you again. It really is a pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks for
absolutely.
the invitation.
I'm glad to have you. You brought some
I'm
beer
used
with
to
you,
it. I
which
sure
is
did.
mandatory in the Humble Mechanic
I
Studios.
certainly did, which I will imbibe now.
Absolutely. So I posted on Facebook about some questions that Rusty and I can answer for you guys. We got a bunch of good questions, so you ready to do this?
Sure. And I'll tell everybody, my part of the answer will be my opinion on a lot of these things. I haven't researched any of them. So
That's okay. I don't do that anyway.
well, then it's all fact. It's all fact. As
Hey,
we know.
real quick. So Bench Racing Garage, how's the Trans Am coming?
Trans Am's coming great. Put some miles on it today. Had a lot of fun with it. Burned a lot of gas, which is typical. Got to get on the highway.
Yeah.
It didn't overheat. No fluids blew out of it. So we're definitely making progress with it. It's a lot of fun. It's almost exactly what I wanted it to be.
Be careful, you might get it finished.
Yeah. Well, you know that it's impossible. You can't finish them. Took it to a car show and actually won a trophy with it.
That's more trophies than the Cabbies won.
Well, it was the participant trophy, but
Hey, if everybody
got
gets a
that.
trophy, you still got a trophy.
Yeah, it's along those lines.
All right, let's do some questions. All right, first one up comes from Jason. It says, sloppy mechanics versus clean mechanics.
Ooh,
So,
good one. Thanks, Jason.
fill in what that means to you, and let's talk about it.
As for me, that kind of gives you a picture into the mind of the technician, in my opinion. Again, but I have seen guys who are, you wouldn't want to be around them when they're working in the cars, who are phenomenal, and I've seen guys who are super neat that you wouldn't want working. You wouldn't
Want working on your car?
or that
Is that okay?
yeah.
Okay. He's only halfway, not even through that beer.
Yeah,
so
I just got out of the car. So I missed my third. But anyhow, I don't think there's really a either or, but I do prefer the neater technicians.
I think for me, it's kind of along those lines. It doesn't really matter how you work in that your tools are organized, or, the organization of your parts as you're pulling them off and putting them back on is what it is. I don't really get hung up on that, where my issue with someone that is, a dirty mechanic is the quality of their work. Are they having to clean the interior of the car because they didn't wear gloves, or because they're, eating a sandwich and mustard spilling all over the seat while they're putting a dashboard together or something? That's really the only time I get upset. You do what you do because it works for you, and as long as the end product is as perfect, whether you're clean or dirty, I don't really care. There's parts of my work that are 100% spotless, no doubt about it, and then there's other parts where if you walked in, you'd be like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Right.
It must be his third day.
Well, I guess there are different levels of how you could interpret the question. First of all, if you're under the car and you're draining fluids out, we all do our best to capture the fluids, and there are just some jobs you can't do neatly.
Right.
So you have to be aware that you can't get in the car at that point until you go change clothes and gloves and whatever you're going to change. But I also used to work with a technician many years ago who his toolbox was shambles. It looks like he would just dump the stuff on it. He had a roll cart as well, but everything was there, and everything was in a pile. So if you needed your 10 millimeter socket or a wrench, whatever, you're just digging through stuff to find it. Now, everybody I've seen in the last 20 years has, you know, beautifully neat drawers and places for things, which gives you a great visual if you're missing a tool or somebody borrows it. You know something's missing.
And it does make it easier generally to find.
Absolutely.
You know, my 3/8 drive sockets are here, my 1/2 inch are here, my 1/4 inch are here. This is where I keep my ratchets. Right. It makes it kind of, you know, as you're working or one hand is buried, you don't have to shuffle around through stuff.
Right. But you can also, you've got, the fluids and stuff that you can't get away from. You got the messy toolbox, but you've also got the guys who take pieces off the car and keep them in nice, neat order with the bolts where they're supposed to be. But you've also got the other guys who just take stuff off and kind of throw it around and then go back later on and goes, okay, no, where's this piece I was going to put back on? So there's different levels of organization and there's different levels of dirt. I don't like dirt, but I do like organization. So for me, as the manager of a shop, I like things to be neat. You know, it just makes me more comfortable.
When it comes to taking parts off, I always try and organize things in a way that if for some reason someone else had to put it back together, they would at least be able to weed through it. They might not be able to do it the way I would do it because I know how I took all these parts off. But they would at least be able to look at the entire picture and go, okay, he went, you know, left to right, flipped them upside down as he was taking them off. Yeah, I think of rebuilding transmissions, and as you're, you know, do you take them out this way and set them down, or do you take them off this way and flip them? You know, everybody kind of does things differently, and I think clean or dirty, as long as you're organized and the car's right when it's done, and the car's clean when it's done.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than going behind somebody who's halfway through something, and as a technician or as an advisor, you say, do you know something about such and such as repair order? You're like, oh God, no, don't make me do that. But I mean, if someone's organized, you're just so much further ahead of the game if that's the case. So anyhow,
Jason, I think to answer your question, clean or dirty, prefer clean, but I think organized is probably more important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome question. All right, next up, Sean asks, what is your favorite feature in a car?
That's a very good question. That's a tough question.
There's so much.
Yeah.
I mean, is a feature like headlights? Because I like headlights while I'm driving at night.
Yeah. And the time of year, I'm loving air conditioning because I drove the Firebird today, as I mentioned earlier, and it doesn't have it installed yet.
I don't even consider air conditioning a feature. That is like standard equipment
in this part of the country. Absolutely.
To drive a car.
Absolutely. My goodness, power steering. I know that's weak, but out of the new ones, I gotta admit that I love the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
I'm loving some Bluetooth right now. Music and phone and.
We have two cars. One has Bluetooth and one doesn't, and. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. I also think that for me, heated seats are among my absolute favorite. And that's oddly enough, lumbar adjustment.
Yeah.
The Nissan that I've been driving does not have lumbar adjustment, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. And
I get home every day and I'm just like, my back hurts. I mean, I do anyway.
I've got something for. Have you tried the lumbar thing I've got added to my Touareg?
I have.
Have you?
No.
Man, it's very, very. It feels great. You
just turned into a commercial.
I know. I'm not telling you what it is till they pay you.
Well, when you're an old man, you need to.
So you can qualify. All these features now for old people. But you open up a little cap. It's just a little bladder. You open up a little cap, and that's as hard as as much air as you got to put in it. Close it back up, and it's a perfect cushion for the small of your back. And I've got my lumbar pumped all the way out, so that's a nice one.
You also have like a quick release for your cane and.
Yes, sadly, in a well,
never mind.
Bottle.
So I think, you know, as we look at features and we ask the question of what's your favorite feature, I almost want to say that cars nowadays have too many features. I mean,
they're laden with it. Turbocharger? I'm liking this one.
Yeah, I am good with that.
Yeah.
You know, anything to induce more horsepower into a vehicle, I'm a fan of. But, you know, when you get in a modern car, and I did some videos on the Golf Sport Wagon a while back, and you're sitting in it, and I'm counting on the steering wheel. There's like 22 buttons on the steering wheel.
It is really absurd.
It's so busy.
Well, the demand from the public nowadays for cars to be perfect. To be honest with you, it's no sensory input. They don't want to know anything is going on, but they want everything to work perfectly. So
we're scared of like self-driving cars.
Oh, I know.
Which is ridiculous.
Well, they want the manufacturers now. You unlock your car. Well, if you unlock it with a certain fob, your mirror goes where you want it. This mirror goes where the seat goes where the steering wheel comes up, and the radio goes to a certain preset.
Yep.
Well, how much does that take out? So you have to set all that stuff up. So once they get in it, as long as it works, everybody's happy. One thing goes wrong, and it takes an engineering degree to be able to figure out how to make it work again.
And a psychiatrist to get the customer back dialed in sometimes.
Yeah, so you got to go detox the owner and then have somebody who knows what they're doing working on the car.
Yeah. So Bluetooth.
Given all the other kind of standard features, I think right now Bluetooth, but independent suspension because that makes the cars drive like they need to drive. That's a long list of.
So basically, all of them.
Like cars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your favorite feature of the car is the car.
Power and
Okay.
Power and handling and.
I'm cool with that.
Convenience and comfort and.
I'm sticking with heated seats.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, your list is shorter than mine.
I'm pretty easy to please.
Yeah, I'm not.
Great question, Sean. Thanks. All right, next one comes from Scott. Whose car would you rather work on, an enthusiast car or a normal owner's car?
1, 2, 3. Normal owner's car.
Every time?
Every time. Works 100% of the time, every time? 60%? How does that go?
It's from a show. I haven't seen the movie in a while.
Right.
I think, I kind of have to agree with you when it comes from the standpoint of working in a professional environment.
It's a production facility.
Right. Your normal owner's car is the one that you're going to get the repair order, you're going to get the keys, you're going to work on the car, whatever you're going to do to the car, you're going to do to it.
Absolutely.
And you're going to do it with, as much precision and accuracy and cleanliness as you can do it. And then you're going to move to the next one. And I think when you get into an enthusiast car, say in a production type facility,
right.
It slows efficiency completely
stops
down.
it.
It
really stops it.
It really does, because now you have, and now don't take this the wrong way, now you have someone that's heavily involved in a micromanaging level of their vehicle, and in like the performance world, or if you're building these cars, that's okay. Yeah. But when you're just trying to get a car finished so you can get the next customer taken care of,
right.
It's that interaction can stifle productivity.
But there's something to be said about someone that really loves their car.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say is that I would prefer to speak to an enthusiast.
Yes.
Not at business time. But if I'm in the throes of work, I'd rather work on a regular car. And I do appreciate the fact, because I am one, of what the enthusiast loves, and they love about their car, and they have read how they want this feature to be set up, whether it's suspension or steering or stereo or whatever. They know exactly how they want it, and they're not happy until they get that. And sometimes that drives us crazy professionally, yet I'm exactly that person when somebody else is working on my car.
Yep.
I'm always going to bug them because I want to make sure they're going to do it exactly like I want it done. And honestly, that's how I got in this car business. Was because somebody screwed up our car, and I went to go get it fixed and ended up taking the guy's job. So, yeah, careful what you wish for.
So I think that's probably, production level, dealership level especially. Yeah. While we love to have enthusiasts in the building, and that passion sort of charges you up just a little bit and makes you a little bit more excited about the car.
Yeah.
Straight productivity, straight production level stuff. Normal customer all day long.
It has to be, the timing of it has to be applied well. I mean, if it's a part of the day where you're kind of slow and somebody comes by and asks you questions, man, take the time, and I loved discussing it. Like I said before, I am an enthusiast. You are an enthusiast.
Yep.
We are. That's how we got in this. But and if you're in the throes of stuff, you got to be, as the enthusiast, if you want to talk to a professional, look at them and look at what they're doing, because you don't want to stop them in the middle of solving another emergency to talk about what gear ratio to run in your transmission. So,
and a lot of times in our situation, there is a lot of real emergencies.
Yeah. And, and those emergencies usually are people who don't understand anything about a car, and some little thing has gone wrong, and now they think, oh my God, it's the end of the world. What am I going to do? I can't get the kids. I can't get to work. And you're like, okay, hold on, just give me a few minutes. We'll get you moving. So yeah, to them it's an emergency. So to us, it has to be an emergency.
Absolutely. That's a really cool question, though.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one.
I do too.
I've enjoyed all of them so far.
Good question, Scott. All right, next one comes from Barry. Why is it so difficult for some shops to properly balance tires?
Well, that's a loaded question.
Because
there is a lot that goes into balancing tires other than just spinning them on the machine.
Right. I think that's probably the reason why most shops don't do a good job is, you have someone that takes the tire off, takes a wheel and tire assembly off the car, rolls it to the machine, jams it on, hopefully gets it straight, spins it, does what the computer tells him to, rolls it back, and that's it. No thought, no anything. But, it's an easy thing to do because
Right.
all you do is just that. You just do what the computer tells you to. But
Like we referenced in the previous question, you need to know the difference. So do you have a problem or are you just balancing the tires?
that's a really good point.
Because, you as well as I do, we're a production facility. Throw the tire on there because you've done it a million times. You try to do it right. Even the most conscientious technicians going to do them quickly sometimes. You put it on there and you think, okay, this is just normal. If there's a problem, you have to let us know.
Yeah, I think is this a maintenance thing? Or are we doing it because
Right.
it's recommended, or are we doing this to cure maybe a drivability concern of, I got a vibration at 67 miles per hour
Right.
on one highway.
Well, tires are balanced for kind of a certain speed, so that the balance is dynamic. It's going to change at different rates of speed. Bad tires, whether there's a busted belt, that can cause a vibration. Crappy tires, I mean, they're just not round.
Yep.
A guy told me one time, he goes, I can balance a football. That doesn't mean it's going to roll
That's
smoothly.
absolutely right.
Um,
Bent wheels.
Bent
I mean,
wheel-
God,
yeah.
how many tire assemblies have I balanced where 3 of the 4 rims are bent, or wheels,
yeah.
whatever you want to call them, wheels
yeah,
or rims.
the round things.
The not tire part are bent, and you tell the customer, look, your wheel has bent. I mean, you
Yeah.
watch it on the balancer, and it's bump, bump, bump.
There are a lot of types of wheels that are difficult to center on the balance, like you mentioned
Absolutely.
earlier. Sometimes a cone will do it. We've got some that you got to use we call them fingers.
Yeah.
They go right where the lugs are. You got, oh my God, aftermarket wheels.
Yeah.
Some of those, most of the factory wheels are hub centric, which means when you slide it up there, the hub in the middle of the wheel kind of mate together so that they'll center each other on the car. Aftermarket wheels, your hub could be this big and the center of the wheel could be this big, and so you could actually have a lot of movement.
Yep.
Oh man, those are a pain in the butt.
And I think, we 100% rely on the equipment that we have.
Absolutely.
So you could have, a weak cone. You could have a cone that doesn't maybe fit the hub of the wheel quite properly.
Right.
The wheel could have some corrosion built up in the hub. The wheel could
Yeah.
have some corrosion built up. The car could have corrosion built up on the hub on the vehicle.
Right.
Not just on the wheel. So there's a ton of different reasons why you could get a bad balance
Yeah.
on a tire, and it all depends. I mean, there's so many answers. It could be a million different things, but I think a lot of times what it really comes down to is, why are we balancing the tires?
Right.
Are we doing it for maintenance, or are we doing it for drivability? And are we test driving the vehicle after we're done with it?
Right.
If we have a vehicle and there's a drivability concern, the likelihood of a test drive is far more than if it's just, roll it in, bounce tires, roll it out, because
Right.
it's part of maintenance. So
Right. So if you've got who asked the question?
it was Barry that asked the question.
Okay. So Barry, if you have a problem that you've taken to one place 2 or 3 times, or you've taken to a couple of different places and asked them to balance the wheels and you still have vibration, go somewhere that you trust. Tell them, I've had my wheels balanced 3 times and I keep having the vibration. What do I need to do? Because then they need to know to start looking at other things. They need to back up from where they're at. And if that doesn't solve it, then you may have to try 2 or 3 places. But
Maybe a road force balance might be.
yeah,
might
I
be
mean,
better
even a
option.
$25,000 balancer, unless you know you're looking for a problem,
Yeah.
won't necessarily solve it.
And for all you technicians that balance tires and put weights all over the wheel,
Good Lord.
I would like to smack you. Stop that crap
Yeah.
and do it. With a little. Do it with a level. What?
Do it with some love.
Yeah.
Do it with care.
No. What I was trying to say
tender
was, do it with some level of give a damn about what you're doing, and balance the wheels the right way.
Yeah. Be a professional. You are. If you're getting paid to do it, you're a professional, so you earn the money.
I could spend a whole video yelling at technicians.
Yeah.
I'm good
That'd
at
be
that.
easy.
Um,
It'd be easy to do. That was actually a good one.
Yeah.
Now I want him to bring us the car so we can figure out what's wrong with it.
Barry, great question. I feel like that could probably be a whole show about
Yeah.
how wheels and
We had a
tires are
balancer
balanced.
and 10 wheels here. We could show at least 40 of the reasons.
I'll see if I can my wife will let me buy a balancer and
Yeah.
10 different sets of wheels.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll go over very well.
Mrs. Humble?
Yeah, she will not be that if I ask her that question. All right, I think we got time for one more.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay. You still got a beer to finish, though.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I got time for about 12 more.
Excellent. Beers or questions?
No, just one question.
Okay. All right. Scott asked, what is the most important trait in a successful technician?
Talent.
What's the second most important trait in a successful technician?
Wow, having looked for
Looks. That is an important one.
Well, yeah, bad looks.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, no, you look
Humble?
Yeah, yeah. The original beard, by the way.
True.
Wow. When I've had the opportunity to look for several lately. First thing I look for is, they had to be in this business. You know, there was something driving them where they really couldn't be in this business.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't mean that they couldn't do anything else.
There's a desire to be in this
Yes,
business.
there's something driving them to want to fiddle with cars. I mean, yeah, I worked them up, but I may be studying biomechanics, but I worked on my buddy's car in the driveway. Okay, that's the start.
Yep.
Because you want to be involved. And then the guys that decide they want to do this and make some level of commitment to the industry. You know, we talked earlier about organization. You really, because there are so many things that normal education, normal technical training. Can you edit that out?
If you pause and then wait like
no, just leave it in there.
Okay.
It's only been half a beer. No, seriously, it's not bad.
I don't know how many he drank before he
The main thing, they have to want to do this because the technician training gets them a lot of information, but it's just the high points and it's very, very quick.
It's sort of like the basement level getting built of a building.
Absolutely.
Like that is, you got to have it. You're not going to build a building without the foundation, but that doesn't get the floors put up.
But what makes them great? What makes the building great? It's the tiling and the wainscoting and the lighting. So it's the details. So that you don't get taught in a class. You have to want to go learn that.
Yep.
So you have to want to do it is the most important trait in my opinion.
I think a lot of it comes down to having both started basically not really knowing anything and worked my way through tech school and then, you know, worked my way up, so to say, in the industry is know that, like, this industry's hard. It's a hard industry to work in.
It's a difficult job.
Physically demanding. It's mentally demanding.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that training, you know, schooling, I guess is a better way to say it, won't teach you.
Right.
You mentioned, you know, the wainscoting, the lighting. That's like the fine-tuned details of a job, but you need to know the basics. You have to know this is how an engine functions. This is how a transmission works. You don't need to know it necessarily at an engineering level. No. But you need to know how they work. Not only do you need to know how they work independently, you need to know how they interact together. Right. And now we start building and building and building. How does the engine interact with the driver's door? Right. How does the engine interact with the fuel door release? Right. Is that a thing? Sure it is, because in the hybrid, you have to have the ECM talk to the fuel door through the instrument cluster. Otherwise, it won't open the fuel door if it's not depressurized properly.
Yeah, or you have to have, half a tank of fuel before you can actually check the evaporative system?
Or you have to have half a tank of fuel to remote start your car.
Right.
I mean, there's all kinds of...
You got to know the details.
Right. So, it's hard to say this is the most important trait. I think if I had to rank one of the highest ones that technicians need that they don't have is probably a good attitude, man. They again, this job is hard. You're going to get your butt kicked a lot again, physically and mentally, and being able to have a really good attitude. And they talk about quarterbacks where they have to forget the last play. Right. You have to be able to forget the last job. Right. But never forget the last job.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's all of it. I mean, it takes a lot. I think an underestimated amount of talent to do this job at a high level. And, whatever a high level means to you, is that a diagnostic technician? Is that somebody that's really good at doing timing belts, doing services, putting brakes on? I don't know. Yeah. Building turbochargers, whatever a high level is to you, it takes a lot.
It takes a lot of commitment.
And you kind of have to be like begging for a little bit of punishment, I think, sometimes.
Or willing to take a certain amount.
Yeah.
There are so many, we've spoken about this before, there are so many different characteristics that you really need when you're, and I'm speaking of trying to find a technician. So what do I go look for when I'm talking to somebody? And okay, the basic level is they have to want to do this. And then if you find that person, and maybe you're asking the question because you're looking for somebody, I don't know.
Oh,
or
this is Scott. You actually know Scott.
I do?
Yeah, you met Scott at the Volkswagen Fest.
Oh, that's Scott. Okay, cool. But is he looking to hire, or is he looking to become, or what's his status?
He's just questioning.
Okay. All right.
He drives Tiguan.
Does he? Okay. So there are probably, if I were to actually stop and think about, listen, there are probably 20 characteristics that you have to check off to be a technician.
Yep.
Let me tell you, if you find somebody and you ask them, how'd you become a technician?
Didn't know what else to do.
My uncle had a shop. I started working with him. You know, that's not the person you want working on your car.
Yeah, but you gotta, something has to ignite that passion.
Yeah, but they have to want to. They have to, it have to have a desire to do it, not just because that's just what was there.
I think though, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but just a different point to that is...
Yes, you do. Just be nice about it.
Well, thanks. It's not so much what they say, it's how it's said. So, because if I said to you, well, my uncle had a shop and I started working there and I've been just working there for like 10 years. Or I was like, my uncle had a shop and like I didn't know what to expect and I got there and I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. And then he started teaching me all this cool stuff.
Right.
And he told me this is how a turbocharger worked and my mind was blown and then I was hooked.
Now you have to be a technician.
Same situation.
Right.
Just explained differently.
Just found out. Well, okay, what I was referring to earlier was the guy just started working there and that's just what he did for 4 years and now he's just doing it.
He wound up there rather than
So
wanted that.
In your scenario, the guy didn't have anything else to do, and then we got to the garage and said, "Oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever!" Now he has to do it. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I look for. However they go about getting there, there's some point when they know that's what I got to do.
So what you're saying is what I said about having a good attitude was the thing all along.
Humble mechanic.
I'm just saying.
Yes. I mean, I'm
on
your estate.
I'm going to hashtag humble brag right in the bottom, right down here. It's going to say it.
Humble mechanic. That's my best trait.
Yeah.
Humility. Okay.
And cool stickers on your toolbox. I think that helps out a lot.
That is the sign of a good technician. Or a...
Crap. I don't have any in my toolbox at work. Just here.
I got them all in my car. I'm a good driver.
I'm only going to put a AAA sticker on the Cabrio.
That way.
Well, it's the engine code, so like it's the inside joke that if you get it, you
Isn't
get it.
that clever?
Yeah, or
Isn't
it's funny
that
on
clever?
Volkswagen because it'll probably need to be towed at some point.
I thought they come engraved.
It actually had to be towed from like the other end of the neighborhood.
No kidding.
It broke down.
I haven't had to have one towed yet.
How many times have you had to have your car towed?
I'm still going to talk about that.
Okay.
So, next question.
So I guess let's kind of wrap up this answer for Scott and give him a little.
By the way, Scott, great question.
Little less ramble, more definitive answer. Attitude's super important, man.
Very much so.
Even if you don't got the chops right away, as someone that's taught a lot of technicians as much as I could, that'll be the make or break deal for me. Whether I really want to help you achieve what you say you want,
right,
versus me just cutting you loose and letting you do your own thing is your attitude overall, not just about fixing cars. It's about fixing cars. It's about care for customers. It's about care for your coworkers. It's about learning the product and knowing your brand and having a little bit of passion for the brand, even if it's not your absolute
favorite.
Even
if you have to develop it.
Right, and that's what happened to me.
Right.
I didn't give a crap about Volkswagen when I first started.
I specifically didn't like Volkswagen.
Most people in the automotive industry that don't work on Volkswagen are that way.
Yeah.
Because they're weird and different. And then you get it, and you're like, oh, this makes sense.
Well,
then you realize that you like it because you're weird and different.
that works perfectly. The first time I tried to go back and drive a Honda, I don't like them.
Hondas are great cars. With
Hondas are fantastic cars. Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's okay. They're not a sponsor.
Okay.
All right, everybody. I think we're going to wrap it up there. If you have any questions or comments, post it in the comments section below.
Down here?
Right. Well,
hold on. Right here?
Careful where you're pointing.
Yeah.
Hey, if you like the video, throw it a thumbs up on YouTube. You can also subscribe on YouTube or on the blog at humblemechanic.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the blog, and obviously
All that stuff.
on YouTube.
Yeah, obviously.
What beer are we drinking?
What beer?
Local beer.
Yeah.
Hopium from Foothills in Winston-Salem, I believe.
It says it right there on the bottom. Yeah.
We've been there once.
Have you?
Yeah.
This is good beer.
All right, guys. Thanks for
Good stuff.
watching. And Rusty, thanks for coming by.
Glad to do it.
Check out benchRacingGarage.com
Yep.
for the Trans Am updates that you've been updating religiously.
Every year.
All right, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
We will.